You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 26th meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
The Michigan City Sanitary District Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is June 26th, and the meeting, as you all know, is held here at the office here for the commissioners. We'll start off with our agenda with the roll call. Tim Warner.
Present.
Don Babcock. Andy Sperling.
Present.
And I'll also include our attorney, Jewel Harris.
Present.
Okay. First order of business will be approval of minutes. We've got two minutes. We had a meeting, our regular meeting was May 22nd, and we had an executive meeting Thursday, June 13th. Does everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Motion and a second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll start off with public comments.
Madam President, before you do that,
Yes.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
I know I'm new to the board, but I did want to insert something here. It's where it normally goes. When you do hold a board executive session, typically in the meeting following that, there's a certification that's read that every board member has an opportunity to dissent to. And that certification I'll kind of recite for you now.
Okay.
And we'll make it a regular practice, but that an executive session was held on June the 13th and that there were no items discussed in that executive session other than the items listed in the advertised notice. And if any board member dissents, they can do that now, and if not, you can move on to the next agenda item.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Attorney Harris.
Yep.
We'll move on. All right. Yeah, public comments?
Yeah, President Simmons, City Councilman Don Przybylski, and liaison to the Sanitary District. My question is tonight, and let me go back a little bit and give the board some history of why I'm asking this question, is that when the past board was trying to get the new sewer system hooked up into Long Beach, there was also engineering costs associated with that. And in the contract, it states that the city of Long Beach will pay for the engineering costs. And that cost amounts to $500,000. And now I know that it's tied up where the city is trying to get the money from Long Beach. It's tied up in some court case somehow. But anyway, I'd like to get information on where that stands so I can take that back. And if you don't know right now, Attorney Harris, which you probably don't.
I'm a little familiar with,
Okay.
I'm familiar with the litigation, where it stands in particular,
Okay.
not exactly.
Yeah, so if you want to comment on it now, that's fine. But I would like to know so I can report on it at the next city council meeting, which will be Tuesday.
Okay, I'll look into that. I think we also need to discuss that amongst this board in executive session as well. But I don't have any of the documents that are associated with the litigation, but I'm familiar that it's pending. I'm familiar with the attorney that's on the other side of it. So I'll do some homework there and report back to the council and also to this board.
Yeah, and I would like to add this, that, you know, there have been some people that have kind of tried to bend my ear a little bit to say, well, maybe we can negotiate an outcome to this less than $500,000. And I can tell the board right now, and I can tell the citizens that are watching this broadcast, there is no way that I am going to settle for less than $500,000 that was part of that contract. It didn't go through. That's not my fault. I voted against it, and there's the mayor, when she was on the city council, she voted against this project. There were, I think, 6 other council people that voted against this contract. So that's just the way it goes. That's what was in the contract, and you have to hold the people responsible to pay up their $500,000 so we can have money so you can do your projects that you want to do here in the district. So that's my first item of business. My second item of business I got a couple phone calls from folks that are complaining about some of the storm sewer drains that are plugged up here or there, what have you. And I don't know what the recommendation is for that. Do they call somebody? Is there like a hotline to call? But if there's some information that you can give me, Mr. Yagelski, so I can announce it at the council meeting Tuesday night, or possibly put it on the Facebook. The sanitary district has a Facebook page. Put it on there so people know who to call and to get these things cleared up. Or, and I don't know if the sanitary district has a crew, or if they're supposed to be looking for things like that, and if they see a plugged up storm sewer somewhere, you know, if you got a pickup truck that's got an empty bed in it, just put a rake in it, and if you see a plugged up sanitary sewer somewhere in town, all you gotta do is rake it off and be done with it. So, and I know not every sanitary sewer in town is plugged, the cover is plugged, so we're just talking, I think, a small number, but that's one of the others.
Just for clarification, are you talking sanitary sewers or storm sewers?
Storm sewers.
Storm sewers.
Okay, well, you, that's what
I thought I was saying,
You know, I just, okay, thank you.
storm sewers.
Take care of it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Prevolinski, any other public comments?
Good afternoon again, President Simmons, Michael Bergerson, on behalf of Lakeshore Sewer LLC. Been here, as you well know, and others who have been here just a little bit longer know, every month for the past 6 months or more related to the connection of these 4 homes, maybe a couple more, ultimately in the Lakeshore Drive area in Long Beach. As of our last meeting, I was contacted by the board's attorney, Mr. Meyer, almost immediately after the meeting, and he indicated to me that there was somewhat of a consensus of the board, not an official action or anything else, that he said that would probably come later, approving our connection, our proposed project that would, you know, be built by the owners, one of whom is here today, and has been here consistently throughout this process, and that we should get together and to talk about the terms of negotiating a private sewer agreement for them to build that sewer along Lakeshore Drive, down Chastleton Drive, down Carwick Road to the connection at the Hacienda. I said, great, exciting, very exciting. I'm so pleased. We're gonna get somewhere. I said, how about Friday? Let's meet on Friday. Like 2 days later. He says, great, I'm gonna be here. And then so, I'm very excited to tell my clients that things are moving along. And then I get a call that Friday morning from your attorney and said, you know, I'm not representing the district on this project anymore. Just wait for a heads up from somebody else, will call you, or we'll get this thing together. But I haven't yet. And here we are another month later. I'm still hopeful that thought or feeling of the consensus about approving our connection is still good. Let's be in good faith here, because we're all dealing in good faith, and that's what we thought when we went down to item with a certification from the district that you had the capacity to take these 4 homes, and then things went sideways in any event. So that's why I'm here today, again, reminding you, we're here, we're not going anyplace. We don't want to continue to use a short-term solution of utilizing wastewater trucks or, you know, to empty their septic tank and then without a commitment for a sewer. And that's what we're here to do. Again, we're just reminding you, but I understand, and talking to the mayor just before the meeting, that there is potentially some exciting news. But I'm leaving that to the mayor to announce, and anyway,
Okay,
that's all I got.
all right.
Thank you.
And thanks, Attorney Bergerson.
Yeah.
We are going to ask you to meet with our Attorney Harris following the meeting with some good news.
Great. That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have some comments. So, good evening, Mayor of Michigan City, Angie Nelson Judge. As far as, I've been getting a lot of calls to, Don, Councilman, and I've just been giving them to our city engineer, and we've been sending folks out, he's been in touch with them about the drains, about the stormwater drains. So, we have been doing some clean outs as we've been seeing them. The other thing is, as I said before, we did apply for the residential infrastructure housing grant, and I haven't received the contract yet, but we have received some notifications that there will be relief on the Lake Avenue sewer project that we submitted. So that did happen. But again, I have not signed the contract yet, but we did apply for $4.6 million. So we will see when we see the contract that it's official and make the official announcement at that time. So that's good news. I've been saying be patient, be patient, be patient. So hopefully we'll have some resolve once that's official. But there were 15 applications submitted, of which Michigan City submitted 3 of the 15, and 13 were awarded. So we got one of our 3. So we'll continue to go down that path as we continue to work through the challenges that we've been expressing at each meeting. Again, thank you to our finance team, Karen, and also the controller's office for continuing to work through some solutions. Congrats to our newest board member, Andy Sterling, who's joined us today as well, who has a financial background, which is important for me right now as we move into the next year. So I'll be around if there's any questions for me, but again, we will continue to strive for excellence here at the district and in the city. I would like to congratulate Jordan on his promotion as well. Here at the Sanitary District, I'm excited, he has good ideas. Joe Plunk for his promotion as well. And there'll be some more changes that will be occurring over the next several months. So I'm excited about the energy that's changing in the district. And again, I'm very hopeful that we're going to see some exciting things here at the district.
Thank you, Mayor.
Congratulations, Mayor. Thank you.
Any other public comments? No, public comments are closed. Now we'll move on to safety. Dan McCoy, the board did receive information in their packets that were sent out to them. So we've had a chance to review everything. So we'll move on from there and we'll go out with the financial reports.
These are the cash balances for May. For the Sanitary District Operating Fund, it's $707,718.83. Sanitary District Tax Levy Fund is $1,341,650.69. The Indian Springs and Whippoorwill account is $5,059.52.
Excuse me, she needs to get close to a microphone. Because it's so close, it's hard to hear.
If you can repeat that.
You can start all over again, Karen.
All right.
And these are balances as of the end of May, correct?
The end of May, yes, the cash balances. For the Sanitary District Operating Fund, $707,718.83. Sanitary District Tax Levy Fund, $1,341,650.69. The Indian Springs and Whippoorwill Fund is $5,059.52. Carwick Remediation Fund is $221,421.88. The bond and interest account is $180,120.62. The debt service reserve account is $542,163.12.
Any questions from the board? Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have the And so we did the cash balance we just went through, that was for April 24th. Now we have the Harris Law Firm with the invoice. So we need board approval for the invoice. And if everyone has looked at the invoice from Attorney Harris's office, can I get a motion to approve?
A couple things. Well, just a question. In support, I just would love to have somebody make a recommendation to the board, and then we accept the recommendation. Is that possible?
I would like to make a motion to, make a recommendation, not a motion, I would like to make a recommendation to approve the paying of Harris Law Firm for this month's activity.
I move to accept the recommendation.
I will second that recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, next I have the Christopher R. Burke engineer invoice. And we'll get a progress report, sorry. Okay.
They're going to.
Actually, the screen.
Yeah. They're going to utilize the PowerPoint to kind of guide you through.
I just like that process. How are you? Somebody asking us.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to come before you today. My name's Al Wallace with Christopher Burke. I'm here with my colleagues Adam Downey and Jenny Miller. We have provided kind of quick summary. If you don't have it, I have extra copies if you want to follow along. But first of all, I wanted to kind of go over, before I get into the presentation, just wanted to allow some verbal explanations on some things. So just kind of plug that in. But first of all, in the handout to the commissioners, we included, let's see. We included this Christopher Burke work plan. A couple extras. So at the last meeting in,
There's one in there.
we just want to kind of run through this color-coded sheet real quick. At the last meeting in May, the board approved a contract for Christopher Burke to do several different tasks. So what we did on this work plan from now through November, identified the different components of what that contract included. There's some items regarding to the wastewater treatment plant, in the blue shading, MS4, collection systems in the green. The first task, real quickly, is evaluating the wastewater treatment plant current status. So I was going to have Jenny, and what we did with this work plan on the right-hand side, we have who's assigned to those different projects, myself, Adam, Jenny, working with plant staff. We also have due dates, and the due dates are coinciding with the board meetings. So we can finish the task about a week before the board meeting, get information to the board prior to the meeting, and then discuss them at the public meeting. So that's how the due dates came about. Our first due date with the wastewater treatment plant compliance is in for the July meeting, July 26th. So I'll let Adam and Jenny kind of give a quick update on where they're at so far, looking at some of the plant data.
Sure. So we've been to the plant twice, and we've had several interviews with many of the staff, and we spent some time with Jordan today. And we've collected a lot of information, and we're at the point of compiling all of that information together and starting that draft assessment report on the condition of the plant and any critical items that we see, and as far as the compliance. And I'll let Adam talk maybe a little bit just about preliminary what we're seeing on the compliance end of things.
Yeah. Compliance-wise, from everything I've seen through the item files and three plant tours now, you've got a great plant. It is being operated within permit parameters. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to you that it's very old. And it has a lot of the wear and tear associated with a plant of its age. Technologies being used are still relevant, but they are not the most up-to-date technologies, of course. They were built decades ago, and full commendation to plant staff and maintenance for keeping the plant operating as well as it is. But yeah, there are some definitely bottlenecks and critical items where, you've got equipment that replacing and repairing is not going to be an option forever. You can only get parts for a 79 Chevy for so long. So I think the compliance comes more to planning for the future and less about how things are actually today. We want to think about where we need to be in 5 years. And I think that's where we're really tailoring our efforts. Spent some time with Jordan. It sounds like he's really filling the new shoes that he's been given. We talked about sampling and testing, and we met with Sue virtually last week.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some great personnel, and I think making good use of the team members you have will get you where you want to be.
So related to that, just I'll ask a couple questions, and is that okay? So in general, I don't know if the existing equipment records activity real time and puts it in some database or not, or if it's going and sampling and putting in a physical record. And I would hope that if we aren't doing that, that in the future we have equipment that is going to monitor, record, and store, so
Yes.
that can be retrieved. Is that part of this activity? Or is it already being done? I just don't know.
I think you have a mix of, in your current status, you have some monitoring and recording going on of certain key parameters. I don't think it's as comprehensive as you would get in a brand new system, but we wouldn't expect that because you don't have a brand new system. And it sounds like through work order systems that are being updated, it seems like there's progress towards that end. And we certainly would be considering that with future improvement projects. And same with the meeting I had with Jordan today, just trying to give a little bit of another perspective on documentation of standard operating procedures. Not necessarily that there are some here, but I think Jordan being able to turn those into his own and becoming the superintendent that you're looking for, he's going to put his personal mark on those, and we're more than willing to help with that. So,
Thank you.
and just to further answer the question, there is a data acquisition system that's running full-time with the plant. There's two servers located in the plant, 5 virtual servers. IT Director Andy Metanik has been working on that for many, many years, and he works closely with plant personnel. And as you'll see, there's some discussion on the work plan and some items to ensure that that keeps running properly. So there's a lot of the flow meters are tied into that, so flows going through the plant are recorded, a lot of different things. So that's there is data being recorded by the computers, by the data acquisition system, and then also manual entries by the operators and the operator log are within supervision of Jordan doing that.
Thank you.
And you'll always have your lab, some data points will come out of
I understand
that.
that.
So.
Yeah, I just was curious, so.
Okay. And to go through a couple other points real quick, we're progressing on MS4 items, working on the ordinance updates. also identifying whether MS4 items need to be done by the end of the year. In the green, collection, reviewing some of the different collection issues that are coming up. So in addition to kind of the original task in the Burke contract, we're supplementing this here or there where we get feedback from staff on issues that need to be addressed. So we're identifying those, tracking those, identifying people to work on it, and putting in completion dates to get them completed and taken care of. And there is, from an IT point of view, working on some SOPs to make sure IT department has appropriate interaction with plant staff to make sure that IT is supporting the staff as well as it could. And then lastly, I want to kind of go through a couple slides, some of the discussion that was related to kind of the potential Long Beach Extension sewers. Great Lakes Engineering is also going to be presenting some items later in the meeting. So this map here, on a Wednesday a couple years ago, I contacted Tony Basil, the GIS director for the sanitary district. I said, Tony, I need a map of all sanitary sewers north of Highway 12 that drain into the system by being in the Marine. Arrived here the next morning. He had this map already done, color-coded. At some point in the future, probably this fall, we'll get Tony to come here so you can meet him personally. He can give you a demonstration of the great GIS system that he's put together. But basically what we tried to show is, on his own, kind of Tony color-coded all these light yellow sanitary sewers. These are the full range of sewers that are discharging into the B&E Marine line over here. So that's kind of like a broad overview of all the sewers. So with that map, then at Burke, we were able to kind of go through and kind of identify the sewer sheds. So here's Lakeshore Drive sanitary sewers, Beach Walk area, Washington Park Boulevard. So everything in kind of this orange color all comes through one pipe before it hits along the creek here. So that's kind of the North Trail Creek Sewer Shed 1. Sewer Shed 2 goes back to kind of the Carwood Plaza area, Tinker's Dam Lift Station, Hidden Shores, and then everything here in this kind of pink gets in a lift station, force main down Highway 12, turns into a gravity, and again comes into this creek side line. Washington Park, all the amenities in here, the marina, Washington Park park facilities, the zoo, treatment plant, all come through this orange sewer shed through the creek. And then lastly, the Blue Chip Casino complex, and then some of the residents here are kind of a fourth component. All that comes in a 30-inch line that goes under Trail Creek right here. So that's kind of shows all the sewers north of Highway 12 into individual little sewer sheds that we can look at. Here's kind of a blow-up that shows, again, how all these lines are converging. Lakeshore Drive, Tinker's Dam, Washington Park area, Blue Chip. Here's a little clearer version, 18-inch pipe, 21, so on and so forth. So what we're looking to do is supplementing some of the lift station data that we have that tells us how much sewer flow is running through these pipes. The sanitary district has 3 inline flow meters that we can put in sewer pipes, and at Jenny's suggestion, I contacted Jerry Jackson at LaPorte, and he allowed us to borrow 2 more flow meters on a temporary basis. So we're looking to then deploy 5 meters, 1 in the line here from Lakeshore Drive. As Tinker's Dam comes down here, it splits into 2 pipes, so we'll put a flow meter in each of those pipes to aggregate the flow coming in here. We'll put a flow meter in the 21-inch pipe from Washington Park. And then since there's multiple streams coming from the Blue Chip area, if we have a flow meter in the final pipe, we'll know total flow coming through here, subtract these other 4, and then we'll know what's coming from the Old Canada neighborhood in here. So we're looking to do this to be able to utilize the flow meters we have, get some data We may, over a period of a couple months, get some rain events. We can then see, kind of get the data during rain events, how much water is coming in through infiltration inflow, and then we could work our way backwards from these systems to see where some of those items might come in. So we're a couple weeks away from deploying the meters. We have to get some replacement parts, but we're working actively with Joe Plunk from plant maintenance and the collection staff to get these installed, and then we'll start getting data, and then in future meetings we'll kind of give you updates on all that. So just wanted to again, reintroduce ourselves to the board, give you an update on what we've been working on the last few weeks, and kind of our snapshot looking ahead of what we're going to be working on.
Okay, thanks all. Any questions?
Good.
No? Okay.
Nice report.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, and with Christopher Burke, well, Chris has left, so we need to, oh,
Here he comes.
here he comes, okay, Chris.
We have an invoice.
Invoice?
I'd like to make a recommendation to pay the Christopher Burke retainer for this month, which would be $6,131.25.
Can I have a motion?
Move to accept. Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. And we're under board reports.
The item documents that you guys do have received in your pamphlets, one has been officially signed by the mayor and Jordan Hines, who is the new operations manager.
Okay. And then with, I had IDEM, was that part of
That's
the?
part of
Part of that, okay,
correct.
okay.
Next will be the emergency repair on June 10th, 2024. You'll see the pictures in front of you. That's where I was notified by our city engineer, Mr. Warner, addressing the emergency issue as they were paving this street, which was necessary. In looking at the pictures, you can see that this was quite a bit of damage. We would have to go back and repair this at a later date and then repave that whole entire area. This way, we were ahead of the game. We're able to make these repairs in advance and then do the normal paving by refiling. So it worked out more uniformly.
Not to belabor this too much, but that type of activity there, where you see the sunken hole in it, the dirt and the soil that's going in the pipe, or how do you get these things like this? You know what I'm saying?
Well, these are very old brick sewers, and with the,
Okay.
I think with the grinding of the surface pavement, when they were moving it for the overlay, these bricks probably gave up the ghost. It's like, okay, we can't take any more vibrations, so I think we had Whitterford Sons who did the repair work.
Correct.
Yeah. So they came out and replaced those structures with precast concrete structures.
Thank you.
Cleaned out the pipe and everything and had it
Gotcha.
as good as new was.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. I'd like to do another proposal. This would be to have transformer assessment on our property. We have 7 transformers throughout the grounds here, which are, of course, very electrified. Well, we have to have a separate company come in order for us to assess the transformers themselves. We have to actually shut down during a time period. This is why we call it a sole provider, that Marcus Electric be in charge of this. They bring a secondary subcontractor, the day subcontract, from Illinois that will actually go through and as they shut them down, they will do a tracing. So the first bill that you see of $7,948 is to the tracing. That will show us where every wire goes throughout our complex and what they actually, what they perform. The second would be the inspection and accessibility to them, where we can actually see the maintenance that it needs to have happen. And again, everything has to be shut down for that to happen. So they'll do it throughout the course of the day and evening during a low, hopefully Sunday evening, and it gets accomplished. We have, again, 7 transformers, but we have no map of where they go. We really need to map them all out for safety issues also. So that secondary part would be $9,925. So I would request that this get approved so we could get Marcus Electric to get on this as soon as possible.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I got a question.
Question?
The mapping that they do, is that going to be digital file that can be put in their GIS system?
Correct,
Okay.
both. One stops abruptly before our plant ends here, but we have another transformer, we don't know which one is taking care
Right,
of.
so, yeah, someone, if you have an interruption, right, the transformer fails, you'll know what's going to fail inside the plant, and then replace that
And then which
transformer,
one's
or
the
get a
shutdown?
different feed, so that, from a safety standpoint, you don't want to energize it into somebody that doesn't know it's on or whatever.
Correct, or shutting down the wrong one and it turns off the wrong thing.
Right, related stuff too is, I'm assuming just, quote, for the transformer's health, you're making that oil sample checks relative to whether anything inside is degraded to where you could have a failure come up in the short term. That's one issue. But a related kind of one that I assume that it's not an issue, but we should be making certain that these aren't PCB oil in the transformers. If there is, then we should think about that too. So, I mean, that's old stuff, so I don't know if that's the case or not. It's worth asking the question.
Absolutely. No, and again, part of the tracing is going to, and the inspection, of course, is going to show the oil and how it needs to be serviced and how often it needs to be serviced, and that's our goal. But we will have 3 generators. We have a backup to the backup generators that we're going to utilize too on property so that we are protecting the plant completely during this whole time period.
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next, I'd like to just address I did talk just briefly to a couple of board members, but the mezzanine in the Hobart Street area that we had here within the plant, we had numerous storage of paper items for the last umpteen years. So some dated back into the early 70s. This was all done by our retention program that the state had set up, also reported to LaPorte County. That has to go to the commissioners there. So a complete report that I have here, if you'd like to see it, went to them. Showing all the destruction, so some of it was destroyed by either throwing out or shredded. We took that shredding to South Bend, and that was all accomplished this last week.
Okay.
It was over 300 boxes.
Is this one picture of wooden flat file?
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It looked
What is a
brand new.
picture of my office?
Wow. It's been there a while.
Yeah.
And this next one, I'd like to bring Josh up, who is our fleet manager right now, to kind of head up this pyramid equipment proposal that we would like to purchase this garbage truck and trade in the other 3. And you'll see that quotation.
Hi, Josh.
Good evening, board members. Josh Barnett, fleet manager here. You guys should have a quote from Pyramid Equipment. President of Pyramid Equipment, JP Surma, he contacted us. They received on trade a garbage truck from the city of Rensselaer that they had, wanted us to come take a look at it to see if we'd be able to utilize that truck in our fleet. We went over there with some staff members from Central Maintenance and refuse department, and we test drove the truck, took a look at it, and we got their feedback on it. And they were impressed with the truck, and we could use that truck to replace a truck that was totaled in an accident last year. So we could use this 25-yard rear loader within the refuse department. I mean, it's not a habit of ours to go purchase used trucks, but this happened to be, convenient for us at the time to where we could use it. And at the same time, I talked with JP and asked him if he would be up for trade-in on some trucks that we've kind of cannibalized used parts off of, and pretty much we've used everything that we could to keep the other trucks in the fleet going. So we have 4 garbage trucks listed in the quote and their trade-in value on those. And he would provide transportation because these trucks aren't drivable from the central maintenance yard to Pyramid Equipment located in Rolling Prairie. They're a dealer that, they deal with local municipalities, snow removal equipment, refuse, street repair and whatnot. So we're interested in purchasing this truck with a trade-in for a total of $34,600 to add to our refuse fleet, and we would also be able to get rid of 4 trucks at the same time. That would leave 1 truck in the boneyard, and we have 1 other that's at the Hitchcock facility, but we're also in the process of grant with Clean Cities, possibly to get 3 CNG trucks, whether it be a grapple truck for loading household material, and hopeful that maybe 1 or 2 garbage trucks with that grant. And part of that grant, we'll have to dispose of 2 trucks, so we'll have to destroy some trucks. So that'll give us 2 right there that we're holding back to get rid of. Yeah, and then there would be another grant, I believe, in 27 and 28. So by that time, these other trucks that are older will be, replacing, and they would be ready to utilize towards that grant as well. So I'm asking for approval to purchase this truck, unless you have some questions.
Just roughly, and for me and for others, I guess, it sounds like you got a gently used truck.
Yes, I think it's not listed here. It says 77,000 miles on it, and he also said there was some issues with it, some cylinders that were leaking, some engine codes, and he said everything is going to be repaired. And I said, well, how about a warranty? And he did say he would put a 30-day warranty on the truck. You usually don't do that on a used truck, but he said that he's familiar with Michigan City.
And a new truck would be about.
Oh, well,
100?
Yeah, that truck of that size would probably be like 300. We just, a single axle, which is smaller.
It's a no-brainer.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I think that would work out well for the refuse department. And the refuse garbage trucks, they're just used every day, and they're high maintenance, high cost of repairs, and it's just part of the business and the nature of the work that they do. So. This would help us out with the fleet.
So there's some runway left on this truck?
Yeah. We will be able to get our $34,000 worth of out of it.
Move to accept the recommendation.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion
Thanks,
passed.
Josh. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, but I think we're still going to talk about the other vehicle. We had some vehicles that we transported over to our central maintenance facility that was put out of service over here, and they were on the Seneca property, and now those have all been moved over there. And I asked for Daryl Garbacek, the superintendent over there at central maintenance, and asked for his mechanics to assess the vehicles and see what repairs were needed and see if it was cost effective to make those repairs. And one of the vans, there was interest from the Vector Control Department. It's a Ford Econoline van, 2003. I think there's a picture of it Tim's looking at. And they would have a use for that. And we would like to just transfer ownership over to the Vector Control Department for that vehicle. Any repairs after that, once it's becomes in their department, they're responsible for any repairs that are needed on that vehicle. And he would get with central maintenance and talk to Daryl about the repairs that are needed for that vehicle. So we're just asking for permission to transfer the ownership over to the Vector Control Department on that vehicle.
It's been the motion moved today, so moved.
Okay. All right.
I'll give the second.
All in favor? Yep, sorry.
Just a comment too relative to that is, I really love the interdepartmental cooperation.
Yeah.
That is so important. I see, not just within municipalities, but any number of businesses, people get siloed and quit working with each other, and just causes a lot of extra expense and consternation. So I applaud that.
Yeah.
I'd encourage whatever other opportunities come up to take a hard look at it. It's not always a good deal, but I mean, many times it can be.
Yeah. Like we went over to the city of Portage, and I liked the way they had their city property laid out. You had the refuse, the street, and everything. They were all on one piece of property, so I mean, it would help out with like you're talking about interdepartment cooperation on equipment, personnel, whatever. But yeah, I agree.
John, can you provide a brief update of the meeting that we had with Clean Cities?
Yeah. So we met with Ryan Lisek and Nathan Shepard. Ryan's with Drive Clean Indiana. Nathan Shepherd's with Best Equipment. And that's where I was talking about we need some vehicles as part of that grant that we would have to take out of service and destroy within, I believe it was 90 days of receiving the vehicles for the part of the grant. And we were awarded a grant in 2026, $975,000 towards 3 CNG refuse truck replacements. And so I have Nathan working out some numbers on some vehicles, the cost of possibly a grapple truck and garbage trucks, and he's wanting to try and lock in chassis. So he said that's going to be the hardest thing, and that's what delays the delivery of the trucks, is getting those chassis ordered from the manufacturer, because they would be a natural gas. And so once we can come up with some figures and decide on what equipment's going to work for the refuse department, that's going to work towards that. In 2027, there's going to be one, and that's $650,000 for 2 CNG refuse trucks, and then 2028 we have one at a $305,000 project total for one refuse truck. So that's going to help out tremendously with the equipment down at refuse. And
It should help on emissions, and I would assume on fuel costs too, I think.
yeah, and we're even talking to them about possibly working out a different CNG station, a new one. I think it covered, 80%, I believe, of the cost. This station we have in this lot, the parking lot's just running out of room for, and the refuse department is over on Kentucky Street, and then Garfield Street is like 2 blocks away. So if we can put it over there at the central maintenance facility, Garfield Street just make more sense. There's more room, we'd be closer, we're not having to transport the trucks.
You pretty much have to fill every day, is that?
Yes, the refuse trucks have to fill every day.
Take that little travel over here.
The personnel trucks that travel back and forth, so that's also in the works as well. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Now, before we move on.
Now, President, can I ask a quick question before you leave? Just on, back to the 2003 County Line van.
Yes.
Is that title gonna change from one department to the other, right? That's the intention? Yes, like with the B&B, okay. Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
Well, no, thank you, because I wasn't sure
Josh, your
how
voice
to
was
answer
like,
that.
yeah, got really hot.
Yeah, and it changed everything.
Yeah, we do have the title, I was able to locate that, but yeah, it's titled for like sanitary district.
Yeah.
So we can send that title down and have that transfer.
So
to
the reason I'm
city.
asking, the B&V oftentimes can be sticklers for all the paperwork. We might need a board resolution authorizing this transfer to share with the B&V, because sometimes they reject things that probably shouldn't be rejected, but this is one of them. So what we can do is have for the next meeting a resolution approving and ratifying this transfer. You've approved it now, no problem, but just so he doesn't get a hard time in trying to complete the transaction. They may even ask that a bill of sale, even though it's not for anything, also be included with the paperwork, so there's no problem.
Yeah, I can ask Tamiko Smith, she's familiar with those.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Before we move forward, we had a motion and a second, and Mr. Babcock had a question, so we want to clear this up, so I need a motion from all.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve, thank you.
So moved. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Don't interrupt us. Okay, moving on.
I'd like to, the update on the limited masonry repairs to the laboratory building. I'd like to make 2 recommendations here. First of all, I'd like that Larson Danielson was awarded the bid for this project. So I want to make a recommendation to give this to our attorney for review. And then secondly, a portion of this, and I've met meetings with staff here, and Joe Plunk, our new maintenance supervisor, and he feels that this could possibly be held in-house and handled in-house, comparable to the initial contract that was done with Larson Danielson and engineering that was done there. This would be more of a in-house capping the top of the entire area. And I've got actually a diagram here. I spoke with our city engineer in reference to this, who also wears a hat in this field, but it kind of gives us an idea of the possibility. It is not just a temporary fix, but it feels that this is a permanent fix. There'll be some interior wall work that needs to be done, but approximately we can do this project for, that he guesses, $5,000. And that's in-house with our own personnel. The bid that we had to reconstruct the lab itself from Larson Danielson, I believe, was $330,000. So I'd like to give this an opportunity if you would allow me to pursue that.
And I guess I'm a little concerned. I thought they were just talking about doing the coping on top of the wall, and we'd still have Larson Daniels do the structural repairs that are.
That is, and that's what, again, and I was going to talk a little further about that, but we had a mark, so throughout the course of this last winter and fall, we've had a mark to show any kind of changes within the wall structures itself. Nothing has changed throughout the winter with the low capacity of the snow on the roof itself. Nothing has changed with the walls. There's some interior rocks that have fallen, but it was because of the water that infiltrated through the roof that caused the damage. I'm not an engineer, but caused the water damages. It caused the brick to become loose, and that's what fell initially. All those bricks that were removed on the inside. There will be some interior work that they have to do that they took down as samples, and I'll have to repair all of that, and we would have Larson Danielson do that work. But for the onset, I would like to try this to get the roof repairs done.
So, just if I may, how does that affect the contract with Larson Danielson? Do they modify their scope then, or how does that work?
Well, two different things. So I talked with our attorney about this prior to this meeting too, and if we do work in-house, we could modify it, and he can explain that further.
Yeah, I think there's really two options. Obviously, the one would be to look at the scope of the solicitation overall to see if there's any conditions there that would allow any change or just unilateral rescinding of the agreement, right? Or of the notice of award. Secondly, there could be a renegotiation based upon any self-performance of the scope of work is one, and I think that's what Chris is describing. Or just out of goodwill generally. A lot of times companies will want to continue to have the opportunity to work in certain communities. You've identified a way of cost savings, and obviously that's for the benefit of the residents. So you bring the contractor in and say, hey, we're going to self-perform. There's other options that became available where we can save some money, and you renegotiate the agreement so that you modify the scope. And I think that's where you're going.
That's where I was at.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to get charged $330,000 plus do our own stuff.
No, I think that would be the goal. Yeah, I think the work that we would have to do is to call them in, try to renegotiate the scope, come with a new amended contract with a much smaller scope, and then self-perform based upon what Chris is proposing. So that's the goal.
And I will, Mr. Skinner cannot be here for the remainder of the meeting. However, I do have the project status report from Great Lake Engineering of the Lake Avenue Highway 12 lift station project. And you'll find out in your packet. And I'd also like to recommend, go right ahead. Sure. Okay. Are you got the power?
Yeah, we've got a computer here.
Here it is. Sorry, Chris.
Hopefully be able to see the picture, the big picture.
Okay.
So I'm John Hannon with Great Lakes State GLE.
I'm John Kremke.
John Kremke, the project manager for the project. We've been working on this for about, I don't know.
Excuse me, for just yes, a point of order, I think you need to vote on allowing me to go forward. Oh, an official vote.
Sorry. Okay. Can we get a motion?
Laboratory building resurface.
Okay.
I'll second, but what I'd like to do, Chris,
Good here.
he could give me the original report we had from the engineer who looked at that, because I don't know that I have that anymore, but I'd like to take a look at that, because I thought there was some displacement on one of the beams in the building after that wall popped out.
Okay, sure will.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just for the benefit of the board, in the event there is a change in scope in an amended agreement, that'll come back before the board, and you'll be able to get formal approval on it.
That contract is on the order, yes.
Contract over.
There was a light on there.
That says.
There it is.
There we go.
Warm up.
Okay.
Right, most of them.
So this is about the, good afternoon.
How are you?
Lake Avenue Highway 12 relief lift station. So you heard earlier about all the flow that's coming to the B&E manhole. The purpose of this project is to intercept a lot of that water and bring it directly to the plant, and thereby relieving a bunch of your sewers to the west of this location and everything that comes around along the creek itself. So,
Okay. Yeah, like John said, this is taking in Lake Avenue lift station, the Lake Hills lift station, some things by Washington Park. Part of this neighborhood over here is at Canada neighborhood, and also Tinker's Dam lift station that comes down Highway 12. So it's intercepting all of that in a lift station right here at Highway 12.
so that's what we're designing now, is a new lift station at that location.
There have been two options on how to get the force main to the treatment plant. This, when you see in the green, it comes down the proposed bike trail and then around this trail. Was an early option, but as we've been surveying and investigating, taking some field information, this purple option is by far, in our opinion, the best. And again, it can connect two ways, one at a 54-inch pipe right at the entrance to the plant, or even prefer taking the force main all the way to the headworks, which completely relieves that existing 54-inch line from all of this flow.
So this lift station, we think this lift station, we're not done exactly with the numbers, but we're looking at like 1,700 GPM. That would be diverted from the gravity systems directly into the headworks of the plant. And then what that does, of course, is it frees up the rest of the system for future flows or other uses.
And then, so currently we've got the aerial photography's done, we've got boots on the ground surveying happening. We have a specialist who we're working with for the railroad permitting. So that surveying's done, drawings are underway for that. And we're tying all of that into the other surveying that we're doing now to prepare for some more detailed preliminary engineering on our preferred route.
So, you want questions as we go or at the end?
Sure, yeah, whatever you want.
All right, so, are you crossing any private property here, or is it all in right of way, or?
No, that's the benefit of this route too, is it's all on city-owned or abandoned right-of-way, or not abandoned, but unapproved right-of-way.
Yeah, that north-south line that you see, the purple line.
Yeah.
There's a right-of-way there now. NIPSCO occupies part of it, but I'm sure we can work together on that.
And then the rest of this is all city-owned property as we get into the plant.
So go over again that little bit of efficiency you get on that little light blue line down there, so that's some significant relief to
Right.
part of the system, is that it?
The sewer that runs around the backside of Trail Creek gets into a 54-inch line that
That's that blue line right
runs
there.
along the driveway on the south side of the plant. So all of that flow goes into that. If we take the force main all the way to the headworks and not connect to it even in the plant.
Okay, so
then that gets freed up.
there's where my confusion is. It's an extension of the purple line, it's not goes into the blue
Correct.
line. Okay, thank you. So
Yeah,
it's
at
parallel.
one point, this was another option. just to
All right,
connect.
gotcha. Okay.
We're working out the details here in the plant on that driveway and all of the piping and whatever's in there
Yeah,
now.
that where that blue line runs, it gets real busy in there with pipe
Yeah, I just-
and other things.
I was
So we're looking
listening
at
to your
both
description, but I just wasn't
Right.
relating on
Very good.
the screen, so thank you.
That's good, sure.
What's the force main size?
We haven't determined that yet. We would mention though that part of our project also is to finish up the bike trail. So if you see where the green line runs, that was like the original concept of how the force main would run when we first started talking with the district. And part of that runs under existing rails to trails system that's already in, a bike trail that's in. And part of our scope will be to finish all of the bike trail along that green line, regardless of where the force main happens to be located, period. And then they did, getting, if you go up there, John, we have to get under a bunch of railroad tracks there to the north. That yellow line is gonna pass under a bunch of railroad tracks. And we've got a railroad specialist, permit specialist, helping us with that. Their survey work, their field work is complete. It's not unusual for that part of a project, getting the railroad permit, to slow things down. The plan is to go ahead and move forward with the lift station and pick up all the Highway 12 stuff. If we need to, that yellow line can be a second phase when the permits are finally.
So you get
in hand.
value out of putting the purple line in, even if the yellow piece doesn't go right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's, okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
So,
Any questions?
Yeah.
No?
So do you want to come back to us to pick between the yellow and purple, or are you just making a recommendation today?
well, we think we'll work with the staff, and the staff will, the idea, of course, would be we'd have a preliminary engineering report in another, say, 30 days or so. And the recommendation will be in that report, and then the staff will be recommending that we move forward beyond preliminary engineering. And that's where the recommendation will be.
Thank you.
So we're not there yet.
No, that's great. I mean, I like the analysis, and obviously, shorter pipe, I assume means less money, and the right-of-way issues seem good too, plus your elimination of the extra load on the 54-inch line, so there's many good aspects of this.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
With that, I'd like to make a recommendation to pay a GLE bill or invoice a total of $31,025.
So moved. I'll rest down a little bit, I'm moving.
Thank you. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
We're
passed.
letting you off.
We have applied for all our permits and been accepted and filed with the state of Indiana, so I have copies of those.
We need to take no action with this at this time.
No action necessary, no, just filed permits.
So just to help me get educated here again, so you file the permit, then at some point they come back and say stamp approved, or is
Yes.
that kind of, okay?
Yes, we'll
That'd
actually
be some-
get the permit.
Okay, thank you, okay, thank you.
Before you would be the authorization to discharge by Hitachi Global, the pre-treatment permit.
So is this an extension of existing operations or something new?
I'm sorry?
Is this an extension of an existing permit, or is this a new permit because they're doing something
This
different?
is an extension, correct.
Okay, so this is an extension of what they're already
Correct.
doing, okay.
So I'd like to have this reviewed by our attorney. My recommendation would be reviewed by the attorney, and for your acceptance. That's what I mean, that's why.
The mayor was getting sleepy over there. Me too.
As you notice that this comes from our handbook, I gave this to everybody at the last meeting, but this is a proposal by me that I would like to delete section 5.13 of our policy procedure manual. And this would be acting foreman compensation as discussed in executive session. I'd like to delete this whole section. And that's my recommendation.
We get a motion?
Move to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Oh, this is introduced by Rick Harris. I think I sent this to you. Yeah, that's the one, correct.
That's what, I'm looking at the right thing?
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there something that was getting reported out on that, or?
Just, like, assume that has to, you were supposed to give it to the attention of the board, and that you were supposed to review it first, I'm sorry.
So, well, I saw this, I don't know a whole lot of background as to, what the story is behind it, but just so we're all on the same page and people aren't wondering what we're talking about. The title of this document is regarding Southside redevelopment allocation area. Is that what you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So this has been provided to the city generally, and this is one of the entities that would have received notice of this as well. And it states that in accordance with Indiana Code 36-7-14-39-5B, the Act, the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission is hereby notifying you of the following determination that has been made concerning its tax allocation area for 2024 taxes payable in 2025. The Commission has determined that there is no excess assessed value that may be allocated to the overlapping taxing units in the manner prescribed in subdivision 1 of the Act. Now, I don't know if there's anyone from redevelopment who's contacted anyone else regarding this, or Mayor, if there's anything you'd like to add to it. But this is just more of a formal notice that needs to be included as part of the record, but there isn't any action that's needed. So, you've been notified.
That's what, in essence, they want to retain all the tax increment for their projects.
Yes, that means there's nothing else coming, yes.
Maybe.
I've never put out with this that I know of. But yes, it was a initial sinking in front of Panini as well.
Yeah, I told them. They need to get fixed, so it's for the street department, I think.
So the street project? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next will be our staff reports, and John in engineering. If you have any questions for him, you'll see that report from John.
Okay.
Yeah, as usual, a lot of very thorough reports.
Yes, very.
And then, if you have no questions for John, the engineer, then the approval allowance of the revenue test.
This 13.
Okay.
This is the bill.
Okay.
This one right here.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so we've got approve and allow revenue and tax levy claims. For payment, I'm sorry, for payment.
Correct.
So, all right. So making that as a motion, okay? I need a second. Make a motion, right? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion pass.
Airplanes.
Okay.
You might want to summarize the totals, or did you already say that?
I'm sorry?
Did you already summarize the totals?
No, I didn't. Would you like to do that for me?
Okay. They're big numbers, I just thought, might be for the record, might be some value.
That's good, yeah.
So the sanitary district operations claims totaled $724,151.76. The sanitary district's tax claim are $192,692.01. Sanitary district Carwick remedial fund request is $656.74 for a total claims of $917,500.51, which we just approved.
Thank you. Thank you for reading that. Okay, we're at old business now.
All right. I have an item of old business. The Michigan City Sanitary District Annexation Extension Sewer. Haas Associates has been working on the extension design of sewer going out to the annexation properties west of, or east of 20 by Swan Lake Cemetery. They have done a couple of amendments on the original contract. Amendment 2 came in and somehow got confused here in the office of the sanitary district, and it looked like copies from the original amendment. 1 got included with amendment 2. The old board approved that, but it looked like it was the same exact scope of services. They've updated that. We've got the number, and that's been approved. I just wanted to state that, no, there wasn't a duplication of scope of services, and we've got that organized now. We'll be approving amendment number 2 numbers. I think we've already really done the number. We just had the wrong form. So we'll proceed with that, and I'm talking with Haas. They'll be proceeding on with final design documents and bidding documents, and that amendment will be coming, amendment 3 soon.
It was transmitted about a month ago to the board.
We've already got amendment 3?
It was not.
It was not.
Okay. All right, then we will
July.
Yep, move on. Thank you.
Just for the record, I'd like to add in there, I read over the summary that Haas provided. It's very thorough and full explanation of every item all the way down, and I certainly don't have any further questions of it, and I appreciate your review.
So thank you.
What is the timeline again? We had a project meeting yesterday with everybody when we talked about the annexation. What is the timeline for the final? Because I'm trying to find out where we're at.
Yeah, when are you gonna get to the bid documents, is basically what you.
Yeah, we gotta get the money.
The amendment number 3 that Mr. Warner just mentioned, that is for the final design and bid. So it would need to be approved.
Okay, and my question is that because we have a redevelopment commission involved in part of this situation. So they're meeting in a couple of weeks. So do we just get the approval from them for what we need and then come back here next month and then move forward?
Or we could, if we need to, we could have a special meeting and.
Okay.
Special meeting, yeah, we have a special meeting.
And just set it up for the approval of that amendment.
Okay,
So,
all right.
time-wise, Tim, where are you for getting to a final bid document ready to advertise? Once you get approval?
Right.
See, I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, we're sorry, I told you yesterday, we need to.
No problem. We anticipated this type of question. About 8 weeks for the engineering plans, but the permits, in particular, the wetland permitting, is out of our control. The wetland consultant is waiting to have a jurisdictional determination on the wetlands from the Corps of Engineers.
And it's our understanding that the Corps is running behind schedule and understaffed.
Like all of us. Yeah, okay, so we'll, like I said, maybe we'll do a special meeting as soon as we can set one up, just to make sure we approve it. And then the number 3, so they can get moving on the filing design documents, and then it's in the hands of the Corps of Engineers, I guess, to be able to get moving on the wetland determination.
And there are questions also about the wetland permitting and whether to permit all of it or just part of it. We need to get some input from the city team and so we can plan appropriately to meet the needs of the city.
Okay, great. That's from the old business.
Is there any other old business?
I have one item.
Okay.
I'm not sure to what extent the board has discussed this, but every community in the state of Indiana has a requirement to adopt a new stormwater ordinance by July 1st. I don't know if it's come before the board before or not, or where things stand with that. But that is typically a collaborative effort between the sanitary district, the mayor's office, and the city council. And ultimately, it's for the council to adopt that ordinance. It starts here with a resolution and a recommendation for the council, and then they adopt the new stormwater ordinance. The reason there's a requirement for a new one is because there are new state mandates that are reflected in state law that need to be adopted in each locality, right? So I believe there is a draft that has been prepared, and I know the city's corporation council and your prior council had some discussions about it, but I don't know to what extent the board was kind of aware of that requirement or that needs to happen. So what I believe we need to do at this point is request from item a brief extension to get the ordinance adopted. And I don't know whether any of this has happened already, so I'm just kind of laying it out there.
I think we asked for extension already. I need to confirm that. We did, I think with former engineer I think we may have already requested the extension. And I need to confirm that, but I'm almost certain that we did.
Okay, good. So we just need to get an idea of how much time we have now then, so that we can get it before you, and then we can get it, get input from the mayor, and also then get it over to the council, for the council to adopt it.
Are we're talking about our MS4 storm?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, and Pittsburgh Engineering is gonna be handling that for us.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'm sure he said he got the extension.
So since you bring up somewhat, I did read it's highlighted in yellow relative to the, I suppose, illegality of putting stormwater connection into the sewer waters. That's the sewer system at your home. So the question I would have, and since you bring up an ordinance, is what is the penalty if somebody is connected? I mean, is there? I assume that there should be some financial penalty relative to when I do these kind of things, right there.
I could speak of city ordinance violations. There is a penalty clause within the ordinance violations, but the extent of what the amount would be, I'd have to.
I just think that would be, since you're looking at this now, it might be appropriate to have a pretty large number out there, just if nothing else, to make a statement relative to, hey, don't do this because you're harming others and costing the whole city more money.
Yeah, that
looks like our Chris Burt.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I'd like to make a comment regarding that. Typically, the goal is to get it disconnected.
Right.
So usually it starts with a letter requiring that person to disconnect, and then follow the remedies if they refuse to do that, and that would be through your legal remedies to do that.
Yeah.
In our experience, finding people right from the get-go usually doesn't go well for getting the disconnection as soon as possible.
I assume that's why.
And sometimes even the staff can work with that property in order to affect the disconnection. So they can say, hey, we can't have your sump pump connected here. We'll help you take the curb or cut it off at the curb and things like that. So usually it doesn't start with a fine right off the get-go, but the goal is to get them disconnected.
Sure, totally.
That's been my experience as far as be successful.
And to piggyback on that, typically, the document you're referring to is the sewer use ordinance. Every community has a sewer use ordinance, and it explains, the parameters within which you have to deal with the public sewer system, right? And if you don't, it outlines what the process is from, the initial smack on the hand to eventually disconnection from the system. And if it's something that hasn't been revisited in a while, it's something we can do now while we're at it, and you all can take a look at it to see if there's anything that needs to be addressed. And then again, typically that's something that we get input from the mayor's office and the council, because ultimately if there's fines associated with any of that, those have to be approved by the city council. So it's a kind of multi-step process.
Mayor, is there a possibility of the sanitary district putting a letter in the next water bill just to indicate to all homeowners that our downspouts and that should be disconnected from the sanitary sewers? If you have any connection going into a pipe in the ground, it's pretty much guaranteed it's connecting to the sanitary sewer, and that should be disconnected.
I think there's an opportunity for all that. I know we've established, we're gonna be starting a newsletter for information. That was one of the things is, receiving, feedback from all of the different departments on a monthly, what do they want to include? I think we need to start educating the public on a lot of different things. And we're just not there yet. We have 2 interns working on that. And they've created the framework for the newsletter. But I think it'll be it'd be cheaper to put them in the bills too. So we'll probably use it as an email, water bill, all those sorts of things on a monthly basis.
Yeah, because I had talked with the staff a couple of meetings ago about, now that we knew there was a lot of I&I in that 50 corner sewer P&E, we should, every time we go out and drive around, if we happen to see a house with downspouts connected, it's like, oh, here's one we can talk to the owner about and see about getting that taken care of. I know when I bought my house in Edgewood 99, all of the downspouts were connected to the sanitary. I disconnected those as soon as I got in the house, because I didn't want my basement to flood, number one, and I knew, working with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District in Chicago, that was...
And we have to show pictures too, just saying it.
Here's what it looks like. Right.
Yeah.
But the more subtle, so covert, it's also there's some pump connected to it.
Okay.
Any new business?
One item of new business I have is I just have to announce that the board has formally accepted the resignation of Mr. Steve Stanford effective today, June 26, 2024. So with that out there.
All right, thank you.
I have 2 additional items if you don't mind.
First, I just want to say, I want to thank Steve for his work at the sanitary district from when Mike Huss was here. He got the Car Week Nature Center going and things like that, so just a thank you to Steve for his service.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
Sorry, I do have 2 issues. Presently, we have an issue with the refuge department and employment. It's a very difficult process to get CDL drivers and to retain them, because once they receive their CDL status, they move onward to other positions, either within the city or out of the scope. So I'd like to propose an amendment to our salary ordinance, which is resolution number 1465-24, where we would increase the driver loader position with the CDL license from $21.73 per hour to $24 per hour. Secondary, I would like to do a driver auto loader. This is the one-arm bandit is what we call it. That position with a CDL license from $22.73 an hour to $25 an hour. And last would be the assistant foreman position, who also has a CDL license, from $23.02 an hour to $25.50 per hour. I'd like to make this effective the next pay period, which would be July 8th.
Can I get a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So with that too, we'll have at the next meeting a resolution associated with it for your approval and ratification, but it can go into effect now, so it won't affect payroll.
Thank you.
I didn't realize we had slot machines at the sanitary district. It's one-arm bandits.
Secondly, I'd like to just show you this as we go through, and this is something that I'd like to do. As I've just begun my tenure here at the department, I've noticed that no one here is uniformed properly, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it just has evolved into this where everybody's kind of wearing their own thing. I found these shirts, and you'll see that they're blue, black, and silver, which are our colors. It's been approved by Dan, our safety. Yeah, Dan McCoy, our safety engineer, that this is approved through OSHA and through the state. So this is more of a shirt type of operation. It's a dry fit shirt. I'd like to supply everybody within a plant one of those. I did get a quote of $11.16 each, which would be approximately $1,600 venture here to get everybody equipped with 2 shirts initially. And this would also take the place of the vests that we purchase. We purchase vests all the time. They rip all the time. As they utilize these vests, which don't tie or enclose in any kind of way, they snag them on just about everything. So they might get a new vest 3 times a week. And unfortunately, that's the way these vests, they don't like to wear them. These shirts then will take the place of that. This also governs the refuge department. So all have the same shirts that we all have. And then we're going to do our own insignia on each pocket. And you'll see the pictures that just passed around. So I'd like permission to proceed with the uniforming everybody the same here.
Is this going to be a policy that they have to wear these?
It will be. That's why I'm going to give them 2 shirts and then the option they can buy additional shirts.
Okay.
They all have a clothing allowance to do so.
So the only, I mean, I like the idea, it's just more professional with maybe there's the other advantages you describe it. I'm just surprised that, I see the kind of the reflective tape on it. But I'm surprised they're not like, lightning bug green or something.
They do. We actually have the yellow and the green now. The refuge department wears them. I wanted to switch to blue. That's why I made sure that was OSHA certified, just because that's our colors. And it's the same principle because the whole idea is the silver portion. That's the reflective portion for the safety.
If you're running it, if it's enough.
Yeah.
It just it makes us unique from other departments within the city too. The street department wears green and et cetera.
Great idea. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the purchase order for t-shirts.
Second, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you, Chris.
One follow-up comment on that, if we can work on an amendment to the personnel policy that requires the uniform, that's all, just so the board can see that and approve that as well.
Okay. New business, I'll call for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
I've enjoyed the meeting so much, I'm not sure I want to end it. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.